Sonic's Green Hills Adventures Season 1, Chapter 19, Shadow the Hedgehog. Sonic's point of view.
I couldn't believe it. Commander Jonah them wasn't kidding. We looked eerily alike, aside from the fact that we were both anthropomorphic hedgehogs wearing gloves and shoes. I'm Sonic, what else got a hedgehog? I replied, saying my no last name confidently.
So what are you in for?
The hedgehog asked casually. It's a mystery to me, well, other than me not being from this planet. But what's your name? I said as I shrugged. The fact that there's another hedgehog like me on Earth and in front of me made me curiously excited to learn more.
I'm Shadow the Hedgehog, and I have the title as the ultimate life form.
Shadow replied nonchalantly. Well, that's a cool name. It sounds mysterious. So what do you mean by ultimate life form? I was getting even more excited about meeting someone like me.
I was created to help and protect humanity. However, there was a misunderstanding, and I ended up here as a prisoner. Because they saw me as a threat.
Shadow replied harshly as a sorrowful look appeared on his face. I'm so sorry that happened to you, Shadow. I thought my backstory was raw. I told Shadow sympathetically.
Huh. What do you mean by that, Sonic?
Shadow asked me with a shocked look on his face, so I took a deep breath. Well, I was originally from a planet called Mobius. For the first few years of my life, I lived there with an old named Longclaw. She took care of me and kept me safe by hiding me from power-hungry bad guys who were after my powers. But one day they found us, and that's how I ended up on Earth. Also, I was only 3 at the time, and so, for the next 10 years, I lived completely alone. I told Shadow and finished the story up to the point when I moved in with Donut Dad and Pretzel Mom. Shadow gasped several times during the story. He even laughed really hard when I told him about the bar fight and how I ended it.
No, I'm afraid I have to disagree. Yours is definitely ruder than mine.
Shadow said in horror, which surprised me. Oh, really? I did not see that coming, but wait, ruined a little bit. You said you were created. What does that mean? I asked in confusion and curiosity.
I wasn't born biologically. I was created in a lab.
Shadow replied simply. So what exactly do they do to the prisoners here? Other than lock them up? I asked nervously as my fear returned. However, I was tired of not knowing anything about this place.
Not much. I believe that you're a special case. So there's no telling.
Shadow replied seriously with a sad look on his face. Well, no matter. I haven't given up hope that my family will come for me, I said, suddenly refilled with determination.
How could you possibly know that for certain?
Shadow asked me with a tone that sounded like he lost his hope a long time ago. However, that gave me an idea. Because they faced this kind of danger to protect me before, with Eggman, and now that they adopted me, their determination is that much stronger. After all, Donut Dad's the sheriff of Green Hills. Plus, that thought is one of the only things that has kept me sane. Besides you keeping me company, of course. Hey, actually, I have an idea. When they come to save me, would you like to come with us and live in Green Hills? It's a wonderful place to live. In fact, it's the greatest place on Earth. Even, I told Shadow enthusiastically.
Really, you would do that for me? But why? We just met.
Shadow asked me, bewildered as tears fell from his eyes. Of course. What kind of person would I be if I left you here? And even I know I have my friends and my now family, I still felt lonely thinking I'm the only anthropomorphic hedgehog of my kind on Earth. Now seeing you, I don't feel that kind of loneliness anymore. I told him excitedly.
Shadow's point of view.
For several minutes Myers couldn't register what Sonic was offering me. Thank you, Sonic, I'd like that. So why do you call your dead Donut Dad? I asked curiously to lighten the mood.
Well, you know how I called him Donut Lord for the first 10 years. Well, I know him and his wife by those nicknames for so long that they just stuck, so it would be weird not to call him that. Even though he adopted me just a few days ago, on my birthday no less.
Sonic replied with a smirk. Ooh, it sounds like they were planning that for quite a while, especially to announce it on the celebration of your birth. I said in awe. Man, Sonic is lucky to have parents like them.
Yeah, I came to that realization too. So, do you have any cool powers?
Sonic asked me curiously, and I could see his tail was wagging. I was relieved that well, I can shoot spears from my hands, teleport. And there's the special attack I called Chaos Blast. I replied confidently as I smirked back at him. So what about you? I asked, full of interest.
Well, I have super speed and this other power that's like lighting that I can generate from my body and shut down machines with. However, I'm still learning how to control it. So far, it only activated when I was in an intense negative emotional state, when I was threatened like the Eggman incident, or the ones I care about are harmed.
Sonic replied very seriously. Phew, that's really fascinating, I said in shock.
Sonic's point of view.
Before I could talk anymore, the guard came to my cell.
Sonic, come with me. It's time for a little punishment.
The guard said as he opened the door. I did not like the way he said that and started to get very nervous. What do you mean by that? I was completely terrified, to the point that I was shaking like a leaf.
You'll find out soon enough.
The guard said as he dragged me away. No, please let me go. I screamed as I kicked and sobbed uncontrollably as I was trying but failing to escape the guard's grip.
Sonic!
I heard Shadow scream in horror right before he was out of my earshot. Eventually I was in a creepy room full of scary devices. Then he strapped me down to a table. They let me out. What do you think you're doing? I asked as I started to panic, but he just ignored me and took something off of the table of tools. When he came back, it was a hypodermic needle filled with a blue liquid. No, stay away from me. I screamed at the top of my lungs because I was deathly afraid of needles, and it didn't help that this place is already sketchy. But there was nothing I could do, and he injected it into my arm. It stung so bad I cried. Then a horrifying thought came into my mind that scared me even more than the pain. Wait, what did you inject into me? I demanded shackly.
All I'm allowed to tell you is that it's a new serum that we needed to test out. You were the perfect candidate.
The guard said as he got me off the table. Then he threw me back into my cell. Then the guard left me alone. The moment he was completely gone, I felt strange. What did that serum do to me?
Sonic, are you okay? What did they do to you?
Shadow asked me, who looked absolutely terrified for me. I don't know. He injected me with a new serum that needed to be tested out. Man, I feel so weird, like gravity is pulling me towards the ground more than it should. And I lost my words as I gasped as a horrifying realization came to me. It was so horrifying I collapsed into a sobbing mess. I can feel my legs. I howled in pain as I collapsed to the ground, not being able to stand anymore because of the numbness. It all seemed to come together. It was the serum. It did something to me, and it had to be what was causing this numbness. But with me not being able to feel my legs, I knew it could only mean one thing. Shadow, my speed has been neutralized. I said quietly in horror at the realization.
Oh, Sonic, I promise you that justice will be served for this cruel act.
Shadow declared in absolute fury at what they did to me. Thanks, Shadow, I needed that. I said quietly, but loud enough for it to be heard by his sensitive hearing. This was because I was so exhausted from sobbing multiple times that day, to the point that my voice was too hoarse for me to speak at even normal volume. Then I passed out from exhaustion.
Shadow's point of view.
When I saw him passing out, I almost panicked and teleported over to him to try and wake him up. However, I realized just a moment later just how exhausted he was from all of this. And poor Sonic. I could tell that from the way he screamed bloody murder about the fact that his speed was neutralized, that his speed meant a great deal to him, more than I can ever imagine. I just couldn't understand it. How does this young hedgehog deserve any of the pain he's been throughout his life? I hope Sonic was right about his loved ones coming, because I couldn't bear to see him